going to a city that's set on a hill. Its ruler and maker is the Lord God above. Oh, I'm going to a city, and it's set on a hill. And someday I'll be in heaven, and there'll be no sorrow there. Oh, I'm going to a city. Hello, everybody. God bless you today. This is Susan Puzio, and I want to welcome you to the Prophetic News radio broadcast on Blog Talk Radio. We're also on the Rapture Ready Radio Network, so you can check us out there. We have a YouTube channel, a website, Prophetic News, and also my book, Seed Faith, Can a Man Bribe God? How False Teachers Manipulate and Hypnotize You for Offerings. And that's something that Paula White famously does week after week, day after day. And, of course, we know that Paula White, who's married now to Jonathan Cain, and that's a stage name, Jonathan Cain. His real name is Jonathan Friga. And Jonathan has been with the band Journey for many, many years. I think he came into the band in 1979. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere around there. He came into the band Journey, and he's been with the band ever since then. And the band currently is touring. Well, they have been touring. And so I don't know if they're going to tour again with Jonathan, because there seems to be some problems with his wife and the band. And I would say really the title of my show today is, Does Jonathan Cain have Stepford wife syndrome? Now I wonder, does this man suffer from Stepford wife syndrome? Because if you ever notice, especially if you look at any video clips of Jonathan and Paula together, say they're sitting on a television set, or she brings him up every now and then at her church. I put that in quotes. Fleecing center is what I call it. It's a fleecing center over there. That's all it is a way for Paula to extract money from people when she has enough of her own money. Jonathan's supposedly worth $30 million. I don't know if he's really worth $30 million. That's what some of the reports say anyway on the internet. I mean, really, who really knows how much money he has? But anyway, I don't care how much money they have. That's none of my business. If you earn your money honestly, you can have as much money as you want. And you can do whatever you want with it, really. But when you're a huckster, like his wife, and Jonathan, why? You sit back and you watch from the platform, you watch your wife rip people off, telling poor people that they can have babies if they give offerings, that they can get favor with God if they give her some money, that they can get financial breakthroughs if they give her some money. How do you stand it, Jonathan? Do you have Stepford wife syndrome? That's what I want to know, because you're kind of turning into this robotic man. And from what I can see of you, Jonathan, I see that you had a stable life with your wife, Liz, who you were married to for many years. I don't know what happened there. I mean, who knows really what goes on in anyone's home, but you had a stable life for many years with her, and you raised 3 beautiful children. And I think you were married over 20 years to Liz, and I think you were still married to Liz. I haven't confirmed it, but I believe that you were still married to Liz when you met Paula. Now, Pastor Paula was there on the Southwest Airlines flight in 2011, and she claims that she got on this flight and she saw this good-looking guy. Well, she didn't notice. I guess maybe she didn't notice if he had a wedding ring on. you know. I guess she didn't notice the wedding ring, but I think he had a wedding ring on because I think I've seen photos of him from 2011, 2012, where he is wearing a wedding ring. And so I don't know, Paula, did you notice that? You noticed that he was a good-looking guy. You probably figured out that he was with the band, and probably figured out he was a good catch. So you were prophesying to him, you were ministering to him. Wasn't that nice? I wonder, most pastors, Christian pastors, remember the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's husband. So apparently you were coveting somebody else's husband there. And a good pastor would have given him a nice word from the Lord instead of all these prophecies that you were building up his ego, stroking his ego, and preparing to entrap him, which you eventually did. But a real pastor would have told him, now, I'm going to try to see if we can reconcile your family. There's 3 children involved there. Who likes divorce? Nobody likes divorce. Talk to children that have been that their parents have been divorced. Ask them how they feel about divorce. They hate it. So anyway, that was 2011. I think they got married. Paula finally snagged him, and they got married in 2015. That was her 3rd marriage. That was his 3rd marriage. So we'll see. We'll see how long it lasts because, John, have you turned into a Stepford wife? That's what I want to know. Have you turned into a Stepford wife? Because you seem very robotic, and anytime you appear with Paula, you don't get a word in edgewise. As soon as you get the mic, she cuts you off, and she doesn't stop. She's the human typewriter, and she goes on and on and on and on and on. I noticed on the Jim Baker show, and you can go look at this on YouTube if you want to, my listeners. You can look at it on YouTube. You can see that John starts talking, and they're going to start talking about how they met on Southwest. Well, I guess she didn't want them to find out that he might have been married when they met, and so she quickly shut him up and took the mic and went on for about an hour. And I don't know if the guy got 5 words in edgewise over there. So I'm wondering, because John, you're a man that's self-made. You worked hard all your life to accumulate whatever you've accumulated, and obviously you did it honestly. You were a musician. You're a mediocre singer, really, but you do play the piano. You write music, so you made your money on your own. You didn't have to con people. So I wonder, how do you reconcile the fact that you watch your wife, and she is your wife, so because she's your wife, you have the right to correct her. You have the right to be the head of your household. Your wife should be submitting to you in many ways, which it seems more like you submit to her, and her whims trying to turn you into a gospel recording artist. And I noticed, John, you canceled your tour that you were going to have, a Christmas tour. You canceled it. I don't think you sold that many tickets. That's what I think happened. I think that Paula had ideas of turning you into a Christian music superstar, and she wants to turn you into a pastor too. She wants you to be a pastor, and she has plans for you, John. But that's why I say, is it Stepford wife syndrome? And What is a Stepford wife? If you've ever seen this movie, you see that a Stepford wife is compliant, submissive, spineless, who happily serves her husband's bidding and serves his every whim dutifully. Yeah, Paula even, Paula gets you to, now, John, come on. Paula actually got you to take dirty money. Money is dirty, filthy. That's why God calls it filthy lucre. Filthy lucre, he calls it, God. And you took dirty money, and I'm going to play the audio here. So in case my listeners don't believe it, you'll hear it for yourself. Paula actually got John to take filthy lucre and put oil all over it, and he put it, and they put it on their body. Yeah, they put it on their body. Yeah. Paula got John to do that. Yeah, here. Yeah, I'm going to play the audio. Here, you can hear her talking about it here.
This will be a center. We bought up 100 and almost, 20, 30, 40, 50 acres around here. And God said, from this, and this will be a studio here one day, because the sanctuary will be across the street, and we're building a hospital and a mental health care center and everything else. And from here, we'll send missionaries all to the world. God said, raise up training in university and school. Now, how many of you were here on Sunday? I'm about to put Pastor Pushy up. How many of you were here on Sunday? Okay. Sandra, was I on fire for God? Was I just like one of those pounding words? There was like, I would even apologize. I was like, Elder Harold, come tell me that what I did was okay. He said, don't ever apologize. And I was so full of fire, God, because the enemy had come with such a threat. And if you guys remember, I said that John and I had to follow a prophetic instruction. Well, I wasn't going to tell what that prophetic instruction, but your mind's about to be blown, Pastor Edward. The prophetic instruction, well, and we added this, was we put our feet in oil. Remember, I told you that, okay? And remember, I told you how I put oil and I put salt. Remember, and I was preserving. And I said, I prayed crazy prayers, and I never talk about this publicly. And I said, God, you have need of me. Remember, I reminded him of his covenant. And I told him why. Because I said every spiritual assassin, and then there was natural things that we found out. Every assassin, spiritually and naturally, that's after my life or after anything, I was breaking it and overturning it in the spirit. Are you with me? And I said there was a spiritual instruction I had to follow. I said, but I can't even tell you because you'd think it's too crazy. Remember that? Okay, well, the spiritual instruction was John and I had to take the money that we had and all the cash that we had, which we took the cash that we had to put it on our body. We had to anoint it. And then we had to find someone who is doing missionary work for orphanages and give it to them. So we started calling up, because there were places that I knew, and I know I can't send this over to Africa. It's not going to ever make it. I can't send this cash because it had to be this cash. I said, God, you have to. So we started calling up Pushy.
Okay, you heard it for yourself. John, what's happening over there? John, your wife says it publicly that she even gets you to take dirty money and put oil all over it. Now, like, who's going to want to touch that money after? Who wants oily money? It's dirty enough as it is, and then you and your wife are rubbing oil all over it. And she's telling you that this is God. This is a word from God. I don't think so. John, where's your mind? Then she tells you that you have to take this dirty, oily money and put it on your body. I hope you didn't catch anything when you did that. I really do. I hope you didn't catch anything. But, people were wondering why Neil Sean was upset. Then it might have something to do with something like this. It might have a few little things to do with things like this. Here's another thing that your wife Paula gets you to do, John. She gets you to take blood baths. Now, I would be scratching my head too. If I heard, one of my friends told me, say it was somebody that has known me for many years. And I told them, I said, I now take blood baths. I would wonder what was really going on with this person. I would really wonder what was going on. Who is influencing this person, I would say? Because here's Jonathan Cain. He's a businessman. He's made a name for himself publicly. But his wife even tells people publicly that they take blood baths. Here you go.
Because God is moving. Okay, my husband who loves God so much, I grabbed him. I said, baby, I know it's crazy. I said, Prophet Pimpe called, and I have a word of the Lord, because God had told me something. I already told you. Then he confirmed it through Prophet Pimpe. And then Pastor Edward had gone into prayer. And I said, baby, I know we do crazy stuff. I know we put oil on our feet. I know we put salt. I know we take what we call blood baths, which is grape juice. I know we do some crazy stuff. I go, but this is the craziest one I've ever had. Pastor Edward, what did the Lord tell you?
Yeah, she said that was the craziest one we ever had. And she says that she's asking her associate there, Boateng, what did the Lord tell you? What Lord are you talking about? I don't think you're talking about the Lord Jesus Christ. I think you're talking about the other Lord, the Lord of the Flies. That's who I think you're talking about, because who in their right mind takes blood baths, even if it is with grape juice? Jesus Christ shed his blood once. There's no more blood anywhere. He shed his blood. You're not going to find his blood anywhere. So I don't know what's happening over there, but I never heard of anything like that in my life. There's absolutely nothing in the Bible that says that we have to take blood baths. We have to take dirty money and put it on our bodies. What? It sounds like the occult. That's what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like Christianity. And, okay, I know, John, you're a man of the world. I know that. And so it was very odd when you got up at Paula's church, and Paula giggles. She thinks it's funny because she can't stop talking about sex. Even when she appears in front of, not too long ago, a few weeks ago, she appears at a meeting with religious reporters, which I wonder they left their brains at the door too, because they didn't ask any thought-provoking questions there. And but she can't stop talking about sex. My sexy husband in church. My sexy husband. She goes on television. My sexy husband. Well, you can't build a relationship on sex alone. You have to have conversations. You have to have something in common, because that's going to get old. And Paula's done so much damage to her face. I don't know, it's hard to look at that face, really. Excuse me, I don't want to sound unkind, but she's done so much to her face. It looks like something from Madame Tussauds. And the lip, she keeps injecting her lips with something, and her bottom lip hangs down to one side. I don't know how John can even stand to kiss that. What is that? It's like a lump of, I don't know what. But John, where's your head? Anyway, here's John at Paula's church, and John tells the people at Paula's church, the women, now there's women in the room. This is a Sunday morning. There's women in the room. There's children in the room, teenagers in the room. I was watching it that day. I happened to be watching the service that day live, so I heard it myself. And there's a video on YouTube. If you want to see the video, it's there. Just put Paula White porn, or you can go to a channel called The Remnants JNJ, Paula White, Another Adulterous Marriage. You'll see the video yourself of Paula and John. And John tells the women to watch porn. And he also says that they have movies for couples. Now, I mean, you must have a pretty dull marriage there's something wrong with a marriage when you have to watch other people doing things. There's something wrong with your marriage. Nobody needs to watch porn to figure out what to do when they get married. Nobody needs to do that, especially Christian couples, especially Christians. But anyway, here you go.
If you don't know what he likes, figure it out. Get a book. Go get some porn. Do something. Whatever. If he likes to watch porn with him.
Yeah. If he likes to watch porn with him. That was Jonathan Cain. And there's Paula giggling in the background, giggling. There you go.
Don't know what he likes, figure it out. Get a book. Go get some porn. Do something. Whatever. If he likes to watch porn with him. It's like you got to get where you going to go. Figure it out.
I fell on the floor. Now, here's the thing, guys. I'm going to clear some stuff up because I know the church world. John and I don't watch porn. We have never watched porn together.
I say my own lane.
Okay, we don't. He doesn't watch porn without me because you're like that. And I'm gonna clear up because I know y'all just like breaking out. And we're not advocates of saying go outside, but what he's saying is educate yourself on sexuality. That's what he's saying. He's not saying get addicted to porn. He's saying educate yourself. If you're gonna sit there and say we don't know what to do, get educated.
They got tapes out now. They have tapes for couples. You can watch them.
Amen.
You must have some kind of a dull marriage. That's all I have to say, because I don't know too many people that can't figure out what to do when they get married, because usually when you marry somebody, there's chemistry, and of course you wait until you get married to have sexual relations. Yes, that's what Christians are supposed to do. You're supposed to wait until marriage. So usually you don't have any problems. You don't need to get a book. Like, who needs a book, okay? Who needs to watch movies? Watch somebody else so we could get educated? That's really sick. That's really sick. So I don't understand. I'm trying to figure it out myself. I'm trying to figure out how this woman gets publicity and she's invited to all these events, stands with men who have served in ministry for many years, like Robert Jeffers and Jack Graham and Ronnie Floyd and Falwell Jr., among others. And they stand there and they act like they don't know what's going on. And they're supposed to know what's going on. They're supposed to take a stand for the gospel. But yet they've got this woman leading a committee for the president of the United States. The spiritual advisor. Now, would that trouble you? Would that trouble you? It should be troubling President Trump. It should be troubling Robert Jeffers and Falwell Jr. and Jack Graham, the former head of the Southern Baptist Convention. Yeah, it should be troubling all those people. I don't know why it's not troubling them. I don't know why it doesn't trouble them, but it should. It should. Now, here's Paula. She wants John to be a pastor. She's getting John ready. She's preparing him. She's preparing John because she wants John now. She wants John to be a pastor. I doubt seriously that John wants to be a pastor, but he just might do it if he's suffering from Stepford wife syndrome.
I think all week long about what's going on, we served almost 300 families, over 16,000 pounds of food this week with our mobile food drop. Just so thankful for our outreach, for everyone that makes such a difference. It's good to have my husband, my good-looking, sexy baby, back in town. I mean, I'm so happy. We love to be on tour, but we're glad you're home. Amen? So will you I always want to call him Pastor John and prophesying. Let Mr. John know that we're excited that he's back home and everything else. We love you. He makes me a happy, happy woman. And what else? It's Mr. Greg's birthday, so when you see him, make sure that you give him a big fat check and a hug.
Oh, isn't that sweet? She wants to prophesy to him, calling him pastor. She's calling him pastor. That's called manipulation. It's called planting a thought in someone's head and then getting them to try to believe it. I mean, come on. I mean, this woman's not a pastor herself. She's not a pastor. It's a joke. I mean, it's a fleecing center. That's all it is. It's a place for people to come week after week and just bring your checkbook, okay? Just bring your checkbook when you come. But here's John. Now, here's John talking about his bad marriage. You know, he claims he had a bad marriage to Liz, and Paula was helping him. Paula helped him.
Change, you know, and the biggest, that's the biggest hurdle is I can't see myself doing that, you know. Well, then that thing's just going to stay there. I was in a bad marriage, and for years I just stayed there. And it was circling around me, the same old stuff, flying at me, hitting me on the head, bang, bang, what are you going to do? And it was time for me to shift, to change, and I had to, you know, just tell my ex-wife that I didn't love her anymore. That was hard. I was afraid to do that.
Yeah, he told his ex-wife he didn't love her. Well, love is not a feeling. Anybody that's ever been in love, you realize that you don't always feel love for the person that you're married to, but you try to work it out. You don't always feel love. You sometimes feel hate. You feel a lot of things when you're in relationships because they go up and down. But how do you tell your wife of 20-something years, I don't love you anymore? Love is not a feeling. It's called commitment. It's called commitment. I don't know what went wrong in the marriage. Like I said, I don't know, and I can't speculate because there's never been any stories about Liz. As far as I could see, she looks like a very nice woman, very beautiful woman, naturally beautiful. And so, anyway, I don't know what happened, but I'm going to finish this program. This is the first part. I will do another episode on does Jonathan Cain have Stepford wife syndrome? I will do one more episode on that, and I will leave you with one more audio from John and Paula. I'll replay the bloodbath.
This, because God is moving. Okay, my husband who loves God so much, I grabbed him, I said, baby, I know it's crazy. I said, Prophet Prempe called, and I have a word of the Lord, because God had told me something, I already told you. Then he confirmed it through Prophet Prempe. And then Pastor Edward had gone into prayer. And I said, baby, I know we do crazy stuff. I know we put oil on our feet. I know we put salt. I know we take what we call blood baths, which is grape juice. I know we do some crazy stuff. I go, but this is the craziest one I've ever had. Pastor Edward, what did the Lord tell you? This will be a center. We bought up 100 and almost, 20, 30, 40, 50 acres around here. And God said, from this, and this will be a studio here one day because the sanctuary will be across the street, and we're building a hospital and a mental health care center and everything else. And from here, we'll send missionaries all to the world. God said, raise up training in university and school. Now, how many of you were here on Sunday? I'm about to put Pastor Pushy up. How many of you were here on Sunday? Okay. Sandra, was I on fire for God? Was I just like one of those pounding words? There was like, I would even apologize. I was like, Elder Harold, come tell me that what I did was okay. He said, don't ever apologize. And I was so full of fire, God, because the enemy had come with such a threat. And if you guys remember, I said that John and I had to follow a prophetic instruction. Well, I wasn't going to tell what that prophetic instruction, but your mind's about to be blown, Pastor Edward. The prophetic instruction, well, and we added this, was we put our feet in oil. Remember, I told you that, okay? And remember, I told you how I put oil and I put salt, remember, and I was preserving, and I said, I prayed crazy prayers, and I never talk about this publicly, and I said, God, you have need of me. Remember, I reminded him of his covenant, and I told him why. Because I said every spiritual assassin, and then there was natural things that we found out. Every assassin, spiritually and naturally, that's after my life, or after anything, I was breaking it and overturning it in the spirit. Are you with me? And I said there was a spiritual instruction I had to follow. I said, but I can't even tell you because you'd think it's too crazy. Remember that? Okay, well, the spiritual instruction was John and I had to take the money that we had and all the cash that we had, which we took the cash that we had to put it on our body. We had to anoint it. And then we had to find someone who was doing missionary work for orphanages and give it to them. So we started calling up because there were places that I knew, and I know I can't send this over to Africa. It's not going to ever.
No, I don't think you can send it anywhere. I don't know. I think the bank even would have a hard time taking oily money. Okay. Anyway, that's the end of part 1, and we'll continue next time. God bless you. Thanks for listening.
We lift up our president.